Secure Top here, and these are 100 archaeological discoveries you won't hear about in school. Erotic graffiti. Unique archaeological artifacts were found on the island of Astipalea in Greece. Some of the oldest erotic carvings and descriptions of intimate relationships between men, dating back to the 5th and 6th centuries BC. This discovery was made by Dr. Andreas Vlachopoulos during a tour with students. Male genitalia are depicted on the limestone slabs, and next to them are inscriptions engraved in ancient Greek. Nicosidum was here, on top of Timion, which emphasizes the openness and detail of the depiction of sexual scenes. These findings tell us about the personal, intimate side of the lives of ancient Greeks, about which not much is known. Relationships between men in ancient Greece were widely accepted, but rarely discussed publicly. The images and inscriptions are done in the style of that time, using the Greek alphabet, which makes them an important testimony to the cultural and social life of the era. For 2 millennia, the graffiti has been exposed to the open air, yet it has been surprisingly well preserved, withstanding the effects of weather and erosion. It helped with swallowing, breathing, and speaking. Polish archaeologists have discovered a unique medical prosthesis designed for a person with a cleft palate, which is about 300 years old. This defect occurs when the roof of the mouth does not close properly during development, and nowadays it can be corrected surgically. However, 3 centuries ago, people had to look for other solutions. The prosthesis was found in the Church of St. Francis of Assisi in Krakow, and is the first of its kind found in Poland. It was probably custom-made for a specific person with a cleft palate to make his life more comfortable. The device was inserted into the mouth and filled the gap in the palate, performing functions necessary for normal life. The uniqueness of this prosthesis lies in its design. It consists of 2 parts, a metal plate that serves as the hard palate, and a woolen pad for a snug fit in the mouth. The hard palate helps with swallowing, breathing, and speaking, as well as holding objects in the mouth and preventing them from entering the nasal cavity. This small device, about 3 centimeters long and weighing only 6 grams, was quite advanced for its time. For a more detailed study of the prosthesis, scientists used a special microscope and X-ray analysis. They discovered that the metal parts were made of copper with traces of gold and silver. The woolen pad contained traces of silver iodide, probably for protection against microbes and to maintain cleanliness. A spicy artifact. In the Khangai Mountains of northern Mongolia, archaeologists discovered a real sensation, a stone ornament in the shape of a human phallus. Yes, you heard that right. This small carved piece of graphite, 4.3 cm long, is the oldest known depiction of a human with sexual characteristics. Can you believe it? Probably not, but its age is estimated to be between 42,400 and 41,900 years, so it dates back to the Upper Paleolithic. Such phallic pendants are something new in Paleolithic history. They show that the first hunter-gatherers were already using sexual characteristics as symbols. You can notice indentations on the pendant, which, according to scientists, resemble the male sexual organ. The most interesting thing is that the back of the pendant is smooth, while the front is not. It seems that the pendant was worn around the neck. The surface of the pendant is a bit worn, but it suggests that it was passed down from generation to generation. Treasures of ancient burials? At the northern cemetery of Taosi in Shanxi, China, archaeologists discovered unique bronze artifacts and burials dating to the spring and autumn period, 770 to 481 BC, a key era in the history of China. The cemetery was first mentioned in 2014 after the arrest of tomb robbers. New excavations have revealed 5 tombs from this era connected with the Spring and Autumn Annals, a historical text attributed to Confucius. One of the tombs, designated as 2015 M1, contained various bronze items, including tripods, cauldrons, mirrors, and bells. Burials of a man and a woman were also found in chambers with 2-tiered platforms, decorated with burial offerings. These findings have characteristic features associated with the ancient Jin dynasty and demonstrate a connection with the Chu and Jilu cultures, highlighting the cultural and technological interaction between the regions. Subglacial lake in Antarctica. The Chinese expedition is planning a unique study of the subglacial Lake Jilin in Antarctica, discovered in 2022 and hidden under 3,600 meters of ice. The lake, covering an area of 370 square kilometers and reaching a depth of up to 200 meters, may have been cut off from the outside world for 3 million years, making it a potential home for unknown forms of life, adapted to extreme conditions. Researchers hope that exploring its depths will reveal the secrets of an ancient ecosystem and provide new data about Earth's climatic past. However, the task requires the development of advanced technologies for clean drilling and sample collection to avoid contaminating the unique environment. There is no start date for the expedition yet, as scientists are strengthening their technological preparations for this ambitious project, which aims to explore previously unseen corners of our planet and understand how life can survive in the harshest conditions. A round man-made object was found at the bottom of the Sea of Galilee. In the depths of Lake Kinneret in Israel, a huge sphere about 50 meters in diameter and 4,000 years old was discovered. Who made it, when, and why is still a mystery. Researchers from Tel Aviv University and Ariel University have not stopped trying to solve this mystery. They even proposed a new hypothesis that might explain the origin of this mysterious object. After a detailed study using sonar and analysis of natural deposits, scientists determined that this is a giant sphere made of large pieces of basalt, located at a depth of about 12 meters. Previously, scientists believed that it could be the biblical city of Miriam, the sister of the prophet Moses, who helped the Jews survive in the desert. But now the researcher suggests a completely new idea. Remember the legend of Akkad, the great hunter with a magical bow, who was killed by a jealous goddess. This legend says that the father searched for his son's body for a long time, found it, and buried it in the sea. Not just any sea, but the Sea of Galilee. Now, scientists want to understand what is hidden inside this giant sphere. To do this, they plan to conduct underwater research using sonar equipment. The face and phallus of the ancient Romans. We raise anchor and head to Spain, where archaeologists from the University of Alicante made an amazing discovery. They found an ancient carving on a rock depicting a face, a cornucopia, and, believe it or not, a phallus. This discovery was made at the castle of Tassal de la Calo. Just imagine this carving hidden in the rocks has been there for about 2,000 years. Back in those ancient times, around the 80s or 70s, BC, this area was a Roman fort where the Romans defended themselves during the Civil War. On this mysterious stone, a human face is depicted, next to which a phallus and a cornucopia are carved. The carving is quite large, about 57 by 42 centimeters. But it seems to be unfinished because the upper part is missing. And why was it created, you may ask? It could be ancient graffiti or some kind of ritual symbol. For the Romans, the phallus was a symbol of male power and the security of the state, so its presence suggests some protective function of the carving. And the cornucopia, which is also depicted there, is often associated with Roman deities of harvest and prosperity. Let's recall the myth of Heracles, who tore off the horn of the river god Achelous and turned it into the cornucopia. So perhaps this mystical carving depicts a god or goddess embodying abundance. But that's just one of the theories. But you can write your opinion about this in the comments. What do you think? Why was there a horn next to a face in the forest in ancient Rome? Did the Romans really believe that such a carving would help protect the state? Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. An ancient comb made from a skull. Nowadays, combs are made from a variety of materials: plastic, metal, or wood. But in the Iron Age in England, combs were made from human skulls. At least one such find was discovered by archaeologists during the construction of a highway in Bar Hill. The comb was found in 1912, but only now have scientists shared the results of their research. At first glance, it seems like there's nothing unusual about it. However, the material it was made from, to put it mildly, shocked the archaeologists. It was a human skull. But scientists didn't find any signs of use on the comb. This means the comb wasn't used to brush hair, but was most likely used as an amulet. A hole was also found in it, possibly for a thread or a cord. It is likely that the amulet was made from the skull of an important person who was respected even after death in the Iron Age. There is a suggestion that these could have been the remains of a relative. Interestingly, this is already the third similar comb that has been found. In the 1970s and in the 2000s, the same kind of combs were discovered, also not far from Bar Hill. Most likely in this region during the Iron Age, this was a common practice. People in ancient times came up with all sorts of things to protect themselves from evil spirits. A unique type of DNA in alien mummies, three-fingered mummies, have been discovered in Peru, claimed to be something from beyond our world. Documentary filmmakers Serena Disi and Michael Mazzolo announced the presentation of unique evidence of the existence of humanoids. The remains found in a mountain mine, according to the documentary makers, are not a fake and contain DNA unlike any known forms. American scientists in Mexico and Peru conducted studies, the results of which refute the claims of the Peruvian authorities that the mummies are just a tourist attraction. According to the filmmakers, the discovery could rewrite human history, becoming comparable to the discovery of the Shroud of Christ or the Ark of the Covenant. The documentarians are convinced of the need for scientific DNA analysis to understand the origin of the beings, whose age exceeds 1,000 years, and whose DNA is 30% made up of unknown elements, indicating possible genetic manipulation. The film suggests that the mummies could be evidence of a new species, or even of extraterrestrial origin. The creators plan to show images and research results live from the laboratory, calling for a serious scientific analysis of the discovered remains. The deepest tunnel in China aims to reach rocks from the Cretaceous period, which are 140 million years old. The task is ambitious. They plan to cut through 10 layers of Earth and reach a depth of 11,000 meters, which will be a national record. Work started in May of this year. While Russia wants to resume work on the Kola Super Deep borehole, China is already actively drilling. Let me remind you that the Soviet Kola borehole project, although it was not completed, made important scientific discoveries and planned to drill the Earth to a depth of more than 15,000 meters. Work on the Kola Peninsula began in 1970 and continued for 2 decades. At a depth of 7 kilometers, the team had to face difficulties. Layered rocks would get stuck in the equipment. Despite this, they managed to reach the final depth of 12,226 meters. But in 1990, the project had to be shut down due to an unknown explosion. Now China is striving to continue exploring the Earth's interior and plans to use its new borehole to study earthquakes and predict their occurrence. Another goal of the project is to gain a deeper understanding of the Earth's internal structure and its evolution. This opens up new opportunities for developing technologies and solutions that can be applied in various industries. Let's hope that China, with its modern technologies, will be able to find something interesting for the world of archaeology as well. Mysterious Stone Age holes. In England, archaeologists have discovered up to 25 mysterious pits, the purpose of which still remains a mystery. Just imagine that. The English countryside in Bedfordshire, north of London, is dotted with huge holes. Carbon dating of materials from this prehistoric site has shown that these round, sharply walled pits were created about 7,700 to 8,500 years ago during the Mesolithic or Middle Stone Age. This discovery, known as the Linmere pits, includes up to 25 pits, each with a diameter of up to 5 meters and a depth of 1.9 meters. They are arranged in straight lines up to 500 meters long. The most surprising thing is that such monumental structures were rare in Britain at that time. But we only know about the Mesolithic from flint tools and rare remains of hunted animals. Archaeologist Josh Pollard from the University of Southampton emphasized that the Linmere pits are remarkable for their number in the large area they cover. These pits are located where there used to be streams of water. Scientists suggest that they may have had spiritual significance or were even used to mark important celestial events, such as the solstice. Some of the pits contained animal remains, including bones of the aurochs, an extinct species of cattle, and may have been used to store food. Similar pits were found near Stonehenge last year, but the question remains, what were these pits created for? Faceless woman's skeleton. In Germany, archaeologists have discovered a mysterious 9th century burial. The man was lying unharmed, but his wife's facial bones were missing, and no burial items were found next to her. The excavation was carried out near Eisleben, at the site where the royal palace of Helfta once stood. The woman was 1.55 meters tall, but her skeleton had a defect. Her face had been hollowed out. The man apparently held an important position. He may have been a high-ranking official or a military officer, as indicated by the items found with him: a knife, a belt, and parts of an official's staff. At the same time, no accessories were found with the woman, which was particularly interesting to the researchers. Felix Berman from Saxony-Anhalt suggested that the woman might have been a Christian, while her husband still adhered to pagan traditions. This could explain the absence of burial items, as the Christian tradition rejected earthly ornaments after death. A Bronze Age wooden well archaeologist recently discovered a well-preserved Bronze Age wooden well in Oxfordshire, England. The well was found during the construction of Benson Relief Road. John Boutroyd, the senior project manager, said that they expected to find an ordinary pit, but instead they came across a preserved wooden post driven vertically into the ground. Further excavations showed that the posts were part of a wooden well. The moist soil contributed to excellent preservation of the wood. The archaeologists documented the structure digitally and carefully dismantled it for transport to the Oxfordshire Museum Service. Wood samples were sent for analysis to determine their type. In addition to the well, archaeologists found flint, animal bones, and fragments of pottery, which indicates their use for storage and waste. Despite the challenging conditions, the team successfully documented the well. Soil samples will help create a more complete picture of the surrounding landscape and the scale of the settlement. And the petrified bullet. In Crimea, a mysterious bullet believed to be 2,200 years old was found inside a stone. Yes, you heard that right, a bullet. At that time, firearms and gunpowder did not yet exist. Researchers discovered it when the stone split open. How did a bullet end up inside an ancient stone? This discovery could change all of history. Could a bullet from the future have ended up in the past and spent several millennia in the ground? In any case, the artifact is shrouded in mystery, and we can only guess what really happened. What do you think? Share your thoughts in the comments. Lost history. A long-awaited fragment of the famous Dead Sea Scrolls, dating back 2,700 years, was recently found. These scrolls are part of ancient manuscripts discovered near the Dead Sea between 1946 and 1956, including 972 documents in various ancient languages. A third of them contain biblical texts, while the rest are non-biblical, relating to the period of the Second Temple. Interestingly, one of the 3 rare fragments dated to the period of the First Temple, which was thought to be lost, was discovered in the United States in the state of Montana. The owner of this ancient artifact said that his mother bought the papyrus as a souvenir in Jerusalem in 1965. This fragment is of interest to scholars because it contains only 4 lines in ancient Hebrew, beginning with the words, "To Ishmael they went." Researchers suggest that this was an instruction for the addressee. The name Ishmael in biblical history is associated with Abraham's firstborn and his maidservant Hagar, and it is quite popular. After a detailed analysis, experts confirmed the authenticity of the scroll and its age. Now, this historical artifact is in Israel, at the Israel Antiquities Authority. However, many similar scrolls are still hidden in private collections around the world. Cursed scrolls. In Brookside Meadows, England, archaeologists came across Roman villas that demonstrate the architectural splendor of that era, with complexes of several buildings and outstanding artifacts, including cursed scrolls. This site in Oxfordshire stands out among other discoveries due to its scale and the variety of objects dating from the late 1st to the early 2nd century AD. On an area of 60,000 square meters, traces of human activity have been found, from the Neolithic to the early Iron Age, including buildings with decorative plasterwork and mosaics. Special attention is drawn to a corridor building with colonnades decorated with lavishly painted plasterwork. Among other finds are ceramic tiles, coins, rings, and a brooch depicting a horse, indicating cultural connections between the late Roman and early Anglo-Saxon periods. The investigators' attention was also drawn to the lead tablets found at the site. These curse tablets were used by the ancient Romans to appeal to the gods, with requests to cast curses on enemies. The discovered examples, although left blank, indicate potential rituals or pilgrimages. Such tablets were usually buried in places considered close to the underworld, which allowed the curses to reach the gods in the underworld. These unique discoveries not only reveal details of Roman architecture and daily life, but also provide valuable information about the spiritual practices and beliefs of ancient people, enriching our understanding of history. An ancient helmet that struck terror into the enemy. A burial site, approximately 2,500 years old, was discovered by archaeologists in Croatia. In the Illyrian burial, they found an iron helmet, which was probably a votive offering or part of a cult practice. The helmet was found in a burial mound at the Gamil archaeological site. The mound dates back to between the 6th and 4th centuries BC. There are several burial mounds at Gamil, located near the village of Zakon, on the Pelješac Peninsula near the Adriatic Sea. Each burial mound contains several graves, each of which holds multiple burials. According to ancient Greek records, the region at that time was inhabited by the Illyrians, who were divided into tribes and kingdoms. Gradually, the Romans conquered them. The helmet that was found still needs to be thoroughly studied, but according to scientists, it has been preserved in perfect condition. The helmet was discovered in a stone structure, separated from the graves in the burial mound. Archaeologists believe that the helmet was used in battle and could have had a psychological impact on the enemy. Imagine a warrior with a shining helmet on his head in the sunlight on the eve of battle. That moment alone could strike fear into the enemy. An underground chamber beneath the pyramids. Scientists from Japan and Egypt conducted a study of the giant necropolis in Giza. Their attention was drawn to a section in the Western Cemetery. Members of the ruling family and high-ranking officials were buried here. The burials were in tombs with flat roofs, arranged in a row. There is an open area between them that had not been studied before. Japanese and Egyptian scientists studied it using ground-penetrating radar and electrical tomography, which allowed them to look deep inside without excavating. The scan showed that at a depth of 0.5 meter to 2 meters, there is an L-shaped structure, about 10 by 10 meters in size. The author of the study believes that this is not a natural formation, but an artificial one due to its regular shape and location. Researchers suggest that this structure may be part of a deeper structure. At a depth of 5 to 10 meters, the instruments also detected an anomaly indicating heterogeneity in the rock. This could be another tomb or a chamber with artifacts. The world's first trash bin. Archaeological excavations in the area known as the British Pompeii have revealed surprising facts about ancient waste disposal methods. A discovery made in Must Farm near Petersburg turned out to be an ancient equivalent of a trash bin, which is up to 3,000 years old. This object, made from 2 pieces of wood, contained broken metal items ready to be melted down. This indicates a progressive approach to recycling among Bronze Age communities. The research made it possible to delve into the lives of people who lived in the 850s BC. The discovery of the remains of 10 roundhouses destroyed by fires, preserved in silt, provided unique data about the life of a community of 50 to 60 people. The discovery of a bucket used for collecting scrap metal overturned the idea of primitiveness of that era, highlighting the advancement and practicality of ancient people in the field of waste recycling. Must Farm is a true time capsule, preserving not only unique artifacts but also an entire Bronze Age settlement, including the only round tent settlement in Britain and a collection of glass beads unparalleled in the country. The oldest bridge in England. In England, there is an amazing wooden bridge from the Neolithic era, which is almost 6,000 years old. This path, called Sweet Track, is located across the marshy area in the Somerset Levels. It was named after Ray Sweet, who discovered it in 1970. The exact dating was determined by dendrochronology. Sweet Track was created as a shortcut across the marsh. It was actively used for 10 years, but then it was abandoned, possibly due to rising water levels. Items found along the trail include stone axes, arrows, remains of a dish, parts of bows, bone hooks, and a fragment of a spoon. The road is about 1.8 kilometers long, and it connected two Neolithic settlements on different sides of the marsh. Today, Sweet Track is considered the oldest known road in England. Surprisingly, the technology for making such wooden walkways has hardly changed since the Neolithic era. This unique discovery allows us to learn more about the lives of people in the Neolithic era and their ways of getting around. Silk Imperial Edict. In the Chiji County of Handan City in the north of Hebei Province, archaeologists discovered a unique 5-colored Silk Imperial Edict. Apparently, it dates back to the Qing dynasty. This means it is more than 140 years old, and its size is more than impressive. It is 2.22 meters long and 30 centimeters wide. But what's interesting is that this edict is written in 2 languages, Chinese and Manchu. Such a linguistic palette reflects the ethno-cultural diversity that prevailed during the Qing dynasty. The edict was first issued to a noble official's family during Emperor Guangxu's reign. Such a document played a huge role in transmitting imperial directives and maintaining order within the empire. The study of such a document gives scholars incredible opportunities to explore various aspects of life during the Qing dynasty, including its social culture and etiquette. The Qing dynasty ruled vast territories from its Manchu homeland in the northeast to the Tibetan Plateau in the southwest. And this entire powerful empire was organized based on a complex administrative system that blended Manchu and Chinese traditions. The influence of the Qing dynasty continues to be felt in modern Chinese culture and history. Why is it forbidden to climb the pyramid? The top stone of the pyramid is the cherry on top, the final touch in its construction. Considering the harmony and beauty of the pyramid, it's unlikely that its builders would have left it unfinished. There is a theory that the top stone was made of gold and that at some point in the distant past it was removed from the top. But it's hard to believe considering the structure's height of more than 140 meters. Spanish researcher Miguel Perez Sanchez suggests that a huge spherical stone was installed at the top of the pyramid, symbolizing the Eye of Horus. It could have served as a tribute to Sirius, the brightest star in the sky. Its size and shape were designed with mathematics, geometry, and astronomy in mind. There is an interesting story connected to the top of the pyramid and Sir Simmons. Some time ago, the British inventor Sir Simmons found himself at the top of the pyramid, and as he was about to celebrate his achievement with a glass of wine, he was met with a surprise. He got an electric shock. The Arab guides, seeing Simmons get shocked, got scared and tried to catch him. But Simmons, pointing the bottle at them, gave them a powerful electric shock. Since then, it has been forbidden to climb to the top of the pyramid. The Thracian Chariot. In November 2008, archaeologists discovered a unique bronze chariot in an ancient Thracian tomb in southeastern Bulgaria, dating back to the late 2nd century AD. This richly decorated chariot is one of the few found in Bulgaria and serves as evidence of the ritual practices that accompanied the funerals of prominent figures of the Thracian people. They believed in a better life after death. The deceased were offered all the items they needed in life, and the higher the status of the deceased, the richer the burial gifts were. The bronze chariot, covered with wood, is decorated with scenes from Thracian mythology, images of the god Eros, a leaping panther, and a mythical creature with the body of a panther and the tail of a dolphin. The wheels of the chariot are about 1.5 meters in diameter. The discovery of a 4-wheeled chariot, especially with such large wheels, is extremely rare. At the archaeological excavation site, well-preserved wooden parts of the chariots, tableware, glassware, and wooden and leather items, which are probably parts, were found. Parts of horse harnesses and other offerings that were used for the burial of a wealthy Thracian aristocrat. The log coffin culture. The ancient heritage left by the culture that flourished in the northwest of Thailand surprises archaeologists with its unique burial customs. About 40 burial sites where people found their final rest in teak coffins decorated with intricate patterns testify to a highly developed Iron Age culture. Researchers from Germany and Thailand analyzed the DNA of ancient people to uncover the connections between different communities. Between 2300 and 1000 BC, a mysterious culture flourished in the province of Mae Hong Son. DNA analysis of 33 ancient people from 5 graves showed that genetic kinship played a key role in burial traditions, highlighting the importance of family ties in the choice of burial sites. This research was a breakthrough in Southeast Asian archaeology, presenting the first analysis of genetic and cultural connections at the level of ancient communities. Despite the challenges of DNA preservation in the tropical climate, scientists identified 2 main genetic lineages associated with agriculture, indicating deep connections with the Yangtze and Yellow River valleys in China. The earliest depiction of a kiss. Are you ready to dive into the world of a real archaeological detective story? Today we have a special episode about the oldest kiss in human history. Yes, you heard right, we're going on a journey to the origins of romance and maybe even herpes. Do you know where the first kiss in history took place? Researchers from the University of Copenhagen found its traces in Mesopotamia, in the ancient Near East, and that was about 4,500 years ago. Scientists say that people were already practicing kissing back then, and it might have even contributed to the spread of herpes. It sounds a little scary, but it proves that kissing has been an important part of our lives for thousands of years in different cultures and regions. Imagine, friends, in ancient Mesopotamia, people used clay tablets for writing, and some of them describe kisses as a part of romantic intimacy and friendship. Our closest relatives, bonobos and chimpanzees, kiss too. How about that for proof that kisses are not just a whim, but the foundation of our communication and relationships? Here's an interesting question. Could herpes simplex virus have been spread by those early kisses? Ancient medical texts from Mesopotamia mention a disease whose symptoms resemble herpes. Of course, we can't be 100% sure that it was exactly herpes, but the similarity is striking. It turns out that both romance and diseases connect us to ancient people much more than we could have imagined. Mysterious objects that are 130,000 years old. Archaeological discoveries in the area of Raciborz in Poland have shed light on the activities of Neanderthals more than 130,000 years ago. For 2 years, an international team of specialists, including those from Wrocław and Silesian universities, as well as the Czech Academy of Sciences, conducted research, planning to study the geological structure of the area. Professor Andrzej Wisniewski noted that the discovery of stone tools was an unexpected gift. Artifacts found 10 meters underground, which were in deposits formed during the last ice age, demonstrate that Neanderthals visited this area and left traces of their presence here. Archaeologists emphasize the uniqueness of some tools that have double-sided, asymmetrical cutting edges, resembling modern wide-bladed knives. These tools may have been used for special tasks such as butchering game, and similar items are rarely found at other ancient sites north of the Carpathians and the Alps. The Book of Kells. The Book of Kells is a medieval manuscript kept in the Trinity College Library and is one of the main attractions of Dublin. This manuscript contains the 4 Gospels in Latin and canon tables written on parchment. The book measures 33 by 25 centimeters and consists of 340 pages. It was created at the end of the 8th and the beginning of the 9th century, and research has shown that it had 4 illustrators. A distinctive feature of the manuscript is that each letter has its own unique design, color, and meaning, like a secret code that has yet to be deciphered. The book got its name from the Abbey of Kells, where it was preserved from the Vikings in the year 814. It is believed that work on it began during the lifetime of Saint Columba and continued for 2 centuries after his death. Historians offer several theories about the origin of this manuscript. According to one of them, it was created on the island of Iona and later transported to the Abbey of Kells. Another theory states that the writing began on Iona but was completed in Kells. There is also a suggestion that the manuscript was created in England or even in Scotland. Despite the variety of theories, the Book of Kells remains one of the most mysterious and magnificent works of art from the Middle Ages. The tomb and thousands of relics. Archaeologists made an amazing discovery in Uvandir, at one of the oldest archaeological sites of the Kingdom of Chu. In eastern China, a luxurious tomb dating back 2,200 years was excavated, which may have belonged to an emperor of the Kingdom of Chu, an important region during that period of Chinese history. Chu was one of the 7 warring kingdoms along with Qin, Han, Wei, Zhao, Qi, and Yan. Their unification is considered the dawn of modern China. The Kingdom of Chu existed for more than 800 years until it was overthrown by the Kingdom of Qin in 223 BC. In Wuwangdun, researchers found a cemetery with a chariot, sacrificial pits, and a tomb that likely belonged to the owner of the cemetery. Among the many artifacts, special attention was drawn to the boards for the burial chamber, bamboo mats, and lacquered items. A total of more than 1,000 cultural relics were found, dating back to around 220 BC. Among them are bronze ritual vessels, musical instruments, lacquered items, and plant remains. The most interesting find was the central coffin with an inscription containing more than 1,000 Chinese characters. The scale of the tomb, its complex structure, and its rich contents led researchers to believe that it belonged to the emperor of the Chu kingdom. To preserve the discovered remains, archaeologists worked in a low-oxygen laboratory built at the excavation site. Digital scanning and video recording were used to create a 3D model of the tomb. Gristhorpe Man. On July 10, 1834, William Beswick discovered an ancient burial mound on his property in Gristhorpe, North Yorkshire, England. Inside, he found an oak coffin of unusual shape with the remains of a Bronze Age man, known today as the Gristhorpe Man. Beswick's discovery was made with the participation of a member of the Scarborough Philosophical Society. New discoveries about the Gristhorpe Man showed that he was about 1.8 meters tall, which was considered tall for the Bronze Age. This indicated a high social status. He may have been a tribal chief. Additional evidence of this status can be found in the burial goods. Before being placed in the oak coffin, the body of the Gristhorpe Man was wrapped in a leather cloak. The burial goods included a dagger, flint tools, a basket with food remains, and a bark vessel which, according to modern research, contained milk. Modern science has also revealed that the Gristhorpe Man was likely a warrior due to the presence of numerous healed fractures. Isotope analysis of his tooth indicates a consistently rich meat-based diet throughout his life. Radiocarbon dating of the tooth, dentin, and femur, conducted at the University of Bradford, showed that his death occurred about 4,000 years ago. An axe over 200,000 years old archaeologist from Saudi Arabia unearthed a basalt axe, which is now being studied to understand its purpose. A tool over 200,000 years old was found in the Al-Ula region. The find was made near an ancient settlement rich in archaeological treasures. The city of Kirk, also known as Al-Mabiyat, has a rich history and landmarks dating back to different eras. The tool discovered by the Theos Heritage Team is over half a meter long and shows signs of use for chopping. A thorough analysis is ongoing to determine its role in the lives of ancient people. The oldest scientific instrument in England, a copper quadrant discovered in England dated to 1311 and palm-sized, was used to determine the time. This artifact is 15 years older than the famous Chaucer astrolabe from the British Museum. Researchers point to the rarity of medieval English instruments and their significance for scientific understanding of that era. The instrument is valued at $130,000 to $190,000. It is being auctioned along with valuable books, manuscripts, and a 17th century silver microscope made by Antony van Leeuwenhoek. Quadrants are believed to have come to Europe from Muslim Spain at the end of the 13th century. In these instruments, daytime was divided into 12 hours, the length of which changed depending on the season and the latitude of the location. The first hour began at sunrise, noon came at the end of the 6th hour, and sunset at the end of the 12th. This made the summer hours longer than the winter ones. Quadrants were tools used by merchants, clergymen, and students. It is known that Queen Isabella, the wife of Edward II, received several such devices as gifts in 1358. The quadrant determined the time of day by the height of the sun using a trigonometric formula that was accurate at the equator. Despite its inaccuracies, the device was useful not only for determining the time, but also for solving mathematical problems related to measuring distances and heights. The Singapore Stone. In front of you is a huge sandstone rock that is several centuries old. It stood at the mouth of the Singapore River like a steadfast guardian of time. You can see strange symbols on it. This is an inscription that has never been deciphered. It may have been written in Old Javanese or Sanskrit. Perhaps it was commissioned by some influential Sumatran. This stone is linked to the 14th century strongman Badang, who supposedly threw it into the river. A monument was later erected in his honor. But what happened to it next? In 1843, the stone was blown up to widen the passage at the river mouth. Only fragments of it remain, and one of them is now in the National Museum of Singapore as a national treasure. This stone is not just an old piece of sandstone. It's a mystery that scientists are trying to solve. The secret held by this inscription will tell us more about the past and the people who lived in ancient times. Maybe future technologies will help us decipher it. Deciphering the oldest human tooth. Scientists have announced a sensational discovery in Germany. Ancient dental fossils estimated to be almost 10 million years old, and which, according to them, do not fit into the established chronology of human history. What is truly shocking is that one of these fossils resembles the teeth of the earliest human ancestors. However, until now, such teeth have only been found in Africa, not in Europe. And even then, the existing series of fossils is millions of years younger. Discovered in September 2016 near the German town of Eppelsheim, the two well-preserved teeth are dated to about 9.7 million years ago. One of the teeth, the upper right first molar, is similar in characteristics to other specimens found in this area, but the other tooth, the upper left canine, is different, and researchers say that its outline and shape bring it closer to the teeth of hominin species, including Australopithecus afarensis. The problem is that Lucy is estimated to be only 3 million years old, and it is believed that the earliest ancestors of humanity began their migration from Africa to Europe and Asia about 100,000 years ago. So the question is, who did these teeth belong to, since they ended up in the wrong place at the wrong time, and how did they get there? A stone with mysterious markings. A geography teacher, a man named Graham Sr., was clearing the overgrown garden at his home in Coventry when he came across a stone with mysterious carvings. Intrigued by the discovery, he sent photos to a local archaeologist. Graham was shocked to learn that the markings on the stone were made more than 1,600 years ago, and that the artifact was worthy of being displayed in a museum. The rectangular sandstone block was covered with inscriptions made in the Ogham alphabet, which was used in the early Middle Ages mainly for writing in the Irish language. Before the appearance of parchment manuscripts, the Irish used the Ogham system, which consisted of parallel lines carved into stone or wood. Rare examples of such stones provide important information about the early Irish language and culture. Catherine Forsyth, professor of Celtic Studies at the University of Glasgow, confirmed that this is Ogham script, dating from around the 4th to 6th centuries. The stone, 11 centimeters long and weighing 139 grams, has inscriptions on 3 of its 4 sides. Its purpose remains a mystery, but scientists suggest that it could have been a portable commemorative object. The inscription on the stone consists of 2 parts. The first part contains the name of a person, male Damkeel. The second part is less clear and may be an indication of a location, but the exact meaning remains unknown. An unusual lead coffin in northern Britain. Archaeologists discovered the skeleton of a noblewoman from the late Roman period in a lead coffin, as well as the remains of more than 60 men, women, and children who lived in this region more than 1,000 years ago. This discovery may shed light on one of the key periods in Britain's history, as researchers found representatives of both the late Roman and early Saxon periods with different burial customs. The find was made in Leeds, at a site discovered last year near Garforth. The location of the cemetery is being kept secret to protect it from looters. The cemetery was discovered in the spring of last year near the site, where late Roman stone buildings and Anglo-Saxon style structures had previously been found. Among the finds at the cemetery were burials, with individual items such as knives and pottery indicating early Christian beliefs and Saxon burial customs. Chemical analyses can reveal details about the origin and diet of the buried individuals. After the analyses are completed, the lead coffin is planned to be exhibited at the Leeds City Museum as part of an exhibition on burial customs around the world. Hussar armor in Poland. Hussars, a light cavalry that originated in medieval Hungary, played a key role in numerous historical battles. The Habsburgs used them to defend against the Ottomans and take part in European conflicts. Polish hussars became especially famous for their participation in battles such as the Battle of Orsha in 1514 and the Siege of Vienna in 1683. Recently, in the Polish village of Mikułowicz, a local resident, Patrick Chmielewski, discovered partially preserved hussar armor with the help of a metal detector. The find includes several elements: elbow guards, a shoulder piece, a collarbone protector, and a helmet. The armor was found at a depth of 60 centimeters, and experts believe that it dates back to the early 17th century. Interestingly, the armor found lacks decorative elements, which is typical for military equipment commissioned not by magnates but by more modest nobles. This indicates that the armor was made in a local workshop as a custom order for a wealthy owner. Zombie grave. In a recently discovered burial site near Oppen in Saxony-Anhalt, Germany, archaeologists found amazing Bronze Age artifacts connected to ancient superstitions. The grave contained the remains of a man laid on his side, with his legs pinned down by a heavy stone about a meter long and 50 centimeters wide. In this way, those who buried him tried to prevent his return to the world of the living. According to the head of the excavation, U.V. Moas, the man aged between 40 and 60 was positioned facing east, which indicates the cultural rituals of that time. Moas suggests that the deceased either suffered from a serious illness or was not respected among his own people. It is claimed that the man could have been part of the bell beaker culture, which is characterized by a certain style of pottery. In those distant times, people sincerely believed in the existence of revenants, the dead who sought to return to the world of the living. The means of combating them were varied, from piercing bodies with spears to placing heavy stones on the bodies to prevent them from rising from the dead. The horoscope of a secret sect. In the Judean desert, a mysterious scroll was discovered, which was named the horoscope. It belongs to ancient texts associated with the secret teachings of the mysterious sect called the Children of Light. This unique manuscript attracted the attention of scholars with its content, touching on astrology and elements of mysticism that were practiced thousands of years ago. The scroll is written in Hebrew, but there are also symbols in Greek, Aramaic, and ancient Hebrew. A distinctive feature of the text is that it is written in reverse order from right to left, which indicates its special significance for the sect. Dr. Oren Abelman, a specialist in the Judean Desert Scrolls, suggests that the text may have been used as instructions for the top leadership of this sect. The horoscope includes a unique belief system that claims a person's date of birth influences their zodiac sign, characteristics, and the balance between light and darkness in their soul. According to the scroll, each day of the year is associated with a certain degree of light or darkness, which in turn affects the inherent quality of good or evil in a person. The text also mentions a strict initiation process for new members of the Children of Light sect. The scroll was used to create individual horoscopes, where the date of birth determined the candidate's personal and physical characteristics. According to Dr. Abelman, this process was not just a ritual, but a test of the candidate's ability to fully accept the teachings and customs of the sect. The grim history of the ancient columns. Sweden is a harsh country, and even against this background, there are some especially haunting places. One such trio of stone pillars stands on Gallo Hill in a nature reserve north of Visby. This place claims to be the only preserved medieval execution site in Europe. The Gullberget Gallows, located on top of a small hill in the municipality of Visby, is a creepy but historically important site, one of the few preserved from the Middle Ages. Built in the 13th century, it was used for executing local criminals. Tall stone pillars, surrounded by a low stone wall, supported wooden beams on which the condemned were hung by ropes or hooks. The gallows was visible from the sea, serving as a warning about the harsh consequences that awaited criminals. During archaeological excavations near the gallows, the bodies of about 300 people were discovered. All of them had been executed. Some of the bodies were found in wooden coffins, which was a luxury, and indicated that these people belonged to the upper class. This shows that not only robbers and poor people were executed here, but also members of the elite. The giant from the USA. At the end of the 19th century, deep in the dense forests of North America, near a small settlement that is now known as Black Hills, South Dakota, a discovery was made that shocked the scientific world of that time. A local forester, while walking along his usual routes, stumbled upon an unusually large stone protruding from the ground. He was surprised by its size and unusual shape, and decided to invite a group of archaeologists from the nearest university. When the archaeologists began the excavation, they discovered that the stone was actually part of a giant stone sarcophagus. Inside, they found well-preserved remains of a person whose height exceeded 3 meters. This discovery sparked a lot of debate among the scholars of that time, some of whom claimed that the find could shed light on the existence of ancient giants mentioned in the legends and myths of many cultures around the world. Despite significant interest from the scientific community, most of the information about the find and the object itself were lost over time. Only a couple of photographs taken during the excavation and a few entries in the personal diaries of the expedition members have survived to this day. These photographs, although not very clear due to the limited technology of that time, show the enormous size of the skeleton compared to the people who excavated it. The Black Hills area, rich in history and mysteries, still attracts researchers and adventurers who want to uncover the secrets of ancient civilizations and possibly find lost archaeological treasures. Thus, the story of the archaeological discovery of an ancient giant human remains one of the most mysterious and unsolved chapters in the history of archaeology. Faces on the stone. Due to drought in the Brazilian region, the water level in the Amazon River reached a record low, which led to the discovery of faces and other figures engraved on an ancient stone that is more than 2,000 years old. These petroglyphs, including images of animals and other natural forms, were found on the banks of the Rio Negro at an archaeological site known as Ponto das Lajes. Researchers estimate that the drawings are between 1,000 and 2,000 years old. On the stones, in addition to images of faces and water, there are also grooves indicating that the site was used for making stone tools. Archaeologists discovered 25 groups of engravings on a single rock. The finding indicates that this place was used for sharpening various tools. In addition, pottery fragments were found at this site. Although Ponto das Lajes is recognized as an archaeological monument, the petroglyphs have not yet been studied. What other secrets do you think the Amazon is hiding? Share your thoughts in the comments. The underground city at Ungumjursen Cave, located in Saudi Arabia, is an important archaeological site that demonstrates the significant role lava tubes played in the lives of our ancestors. This 1.5 kilometer long lava tunnel, formed as a result of volcanic activity, served as a shelter for people for 7,000 years. An international team of archaeologists discovered numerous artifacts here that tell the story of ancient life. Fragments of clothing, worked wood, remains of stone structures, and tools presumably used for household purposes were found. Archaeologists also came across animal bones, which could have been either food waste or part of burials. The study of the remains shows that the cave dwellers' diet was richer in protein, but over time the proportion of plant food from nearby oases increased. The caves were also used by herders as temporary shelters during their journeys between oases, which contributed to trade. This hypothesis is supported by rock paintings depicting domestic livestock. Starman in the Rising Star Cave in South Africa. In 2013, a team led by Lee Berger discovered the remains of more than 15 individuals of the species Homo naledi. This find is the largest collection of a single species of ancient humans ever discovered in Africa. Unexpectedly, in the neighboring Lasidi chamber, another 133 Homo naledi specimens were found, belonging to at least 3 individuals, 2 adults and 1 child. And this was accomplished in just 1 expedition. Interestingly, the teeth of Homo naledi differ from those of other Homo species that lived in the same era, which may indicate a different lifestyle and environment. The body of a man frozen 400 years ago. In the Alps, archaeologists discovered the body of a man who died about 400 years ago. Researchers believe that the man, found at an altitude of 3,600 meters above sea level, went into the mountains and froze due to bad weather. The man was dressed in rich 17th century clothing, indicating his high social status. He was probably a merchant or a traveler. He was found with more than 150 gold coins, weapons, a dagger, a sword, and a pistol, leather boots, and the remains of mules. Scientists believe that the man got lost in the mountains during bad weather and froze to death. This incredible discovery gives us a unique opportunity to study the life and travels of people in the early modern era. The clothing, personal belongings, and other artifacts found with him provide valuable information about the fashion, trade, and technology of that time. Scientists plan to conduct a thorough study of the remains and artifacts to learn more about the life and death of this mysterious traveler. Danish spirals. Archaeologists in Denmark discovered 2,000 gold spirals buried in a field, which are believed to have been used to decorate the ceremonial clothing of priest kings who worshipped the sun during the Bronze Age. The find dates back to the period between 900 and 700 BC and is made of pure gold. Each spiral reaches up to 3 centimeters in length, and the total weight of the find is between 200 and 300 grams. The purpose of the spirals is still a matter of debate, since such a find has been made in Denmark for the first time. It is assumed that the spirals could have been attached to threads, decorating a hat or umbrella, woven into hair, or embroidered onto ceremonial clothing. In addition to the spirals and gold bracelets, 6 gold cups were found here, discovered by local farmers in the 1800s. This area may have had religious significance as a place where Bronze Age worshippers performed rituals and sacrifices. Perhaps the priest king wore a gold bracelet on his wrist and the gold spirals decorated his cloak or hat, shining in the sun as symbols of solar magic. The most indecent animal of the ancient world, the bonacon, a beast from medieval bestiaries, amazed and amused people with its unusual abilities. This creature, mentioned in ancient texts, spewed fire from its rear, burning its pursuers. The idea of the bonacon has attracted attention for over 1,000 years, starting with Pliny the Elder, who described it under the name Bonasus. This mythical beast, with a mane like a horse and the body of a bull, used an unusual form of defense by flinging dung over a great distance. Aristotle, who laid the foundations of zoology, also mentioned this animal under the name Menopos, indicating that it lived in Paeonia, a region north of Macedonia. The uniqueness of the Menopos lies in its ability to fling excrement with such force that it could form a protective barrier around the females during childbirth. The question of the real-life prototype of these creatures remains open. Researchers suggest that the legend may have been based on encounters with wild bulls, such as aurochs or bison. However, the fantastic details inherent in the stories about the bonacon, like many other medieval myths, may have been the result of misunderstandings or jokes by ancient observers who sought to amaze or entertain their contemporaries. The medieval curse of the devil. In Germany, archaeologists made a unique discovery during the construction of the town hall in Rostock. At the site of a former cesspit next to a 14th century house, which is considered one of the most beautiful in northern Germany, a 15th century plaque with a curse was discovered. The text on the plaque is written in an analytical script that was common from the 12th to the 17th century. Engraved on it are the words Satan, Stoki, Beelzebub, Enric, Barrett, addressed to Talike and Henrik. Such curse tablets, made from thin sheets of lead, were popular during the Greco-Roman period. They were used to appeal to gods, spirits, or the dead with requests to influence people or objects. This find in Rostock is especially rare because it mentions Beelzebub, another name for the devil. Such curses could be used to break up relationships because of unrequited love, jealousy, or the desire to bring misfortune to the people mentioned in the curse. Ancient tomb. In the shadow of the blue doors of an ancient Ming Dynasty tomb in China, a centuries-old mystery was hidden. When they opened the gates, archaeologists encountered an unusually luxurious tomb that was 400 years old. The tomb, discovered during preparations for highway construction in Shanxi province, is impressive for its preservation and refined craftsmanship. Researchers confirmed that the tomb, dated to the Ming Dynasty, was the resting place of nobility. Two luxurious wooden coffins with exquisite patterns and porcelain vessels testify to the high status of the deceased. The epitaphs hint at noble origins, and the magnificently decorated chests indicate a connection to the royal court. Among the finds are furniture, writing instruments, and works of art, which highlight the refined lifestyle of the elite of that time. Despite numerous hypotheses, the exact reasons for such luxury and the purpose of the tomb remain unknown, adding mystery to the history of the Ming Dynasty, a period of flourishing culture, art, and science in China. Leather shoes from the tomb. Chinese archaeologists are restoring 1,400-year-old leather shoes found in the Astana tombs, in the capital of the ancient kingdom of Gaocheng. German experts are helping with the restoration. Finding such old leather or textiles is rare, as they quickly deteriorate when exposed to air. The shoes, taken from the archive of items excavated since the 1950s, are 24 centimeters long and consist of upper, shaft, and sole parts, sewn together from goat leather with animal sinew. Archaeologists have been studying the tombs for over a century. Since the 1950s, 456 tombs have been studied in 14 excavations, which have yielded about 10,000 valuable relics. The hot and dry climate has preserved many items that would have otherwise decayed, including 300 leather artifacts. Ancient shoes have also been found at other archaeological sites around the world. For example, hundreds of shoes or moccasins were found in a cave in Utah that was inhabited about 850 years ago. On the shore of the Great Salt Lake, 207 moccasins made from animal hides were found, mostly children's. The soles of the shoes were made from a single piece of bison leather, lined with fur and sewn at the heel, which is characteristic of the Canadian subarctic style. The presence of so many children's shoes indicates a growing population, despite people leaving the region due to drought. These shoes were made by the promontory culture. In May 2014, the oldest pair of pants in the world was discovered in China. Archaeologists found the remains of two nomads and 3,000-year-old patterned pants in western China, which supports the theory that the transition from tunics to pants was a practical solution for horse riders. It's impossible to say exactly when people started making clothes because fabrics decompose quickly, but estimates range from 100,000 to 500,000 years ago. The first clothes were made from hides, fur, grass, leaves, bones, and shells. The oldest dyed fibers were found in a cave in Georgia. They are 36,000 years old. The Stone Age could turn out to be the Wooden Age. Researchers believe that human ancestors were able to work with wood 3 million years ago. In 1836, Danish archaeologist Christian Jørgensen Thomsen proposed a chronology from the Stone Age to the Bronze and Iron Ages, which became the foundation of archaeology. However, archaeologist Thomas Terberger is ready to rewrite history and believes that the Stone Age could be replaced by the Wooden Age. He suggests that wooden tools have existed just as long as stone ones, that is, for 2.5 or 3 million years. It's just that wood decomposes more quickly. Primitive stone tools are characteristic of the Lower Paleolithic, but wood has been found at only 10 out of 1,000 archaeological sites from that era. Terberger led the study of wooden objects found in the peat of a coal mine near Schöningen in Germany from 1994 to 2008. Among the artifacts were spears and a throwing stick, dated to the end of the warm interglacial period, about 300,000 years ago. These discoveries overturned the perception of human ancestors, who were previously thought to be simple scavengers. People who lived before Homo sapiens made tools and hunting weapons, worked together to hunt, and knew how to butcher game. 3D microscopy and micro-CT scanners detected traces of wear on 187 pieces of wood. Until now, it was believed that only modern humans worked with wood. Among the finds were sticks, kitchen utensils, and household tools made from spruce, pine, and larch. The wood was cut down on a mountain 2 to 3 kilometers from the discovery site. Analysis showed that Stone Age people carefully worked the wood, following a specific order, removing the bark, cutting off branches, sharpening the tips, and hardening them in fire. The wooden tools turned out to be more complex than the stone ones. Russian pyramids. If you haven't seen them in person, you've surely heard about the grandeur of the Egyptian pyramids on the Giza Plateau. This architectural ensemble, which has amazed the world with its magnificence for centuries, is considered one of the most monumental. But Russian researchers have proposed an alternative, pointing to the existence of even older pyramids on the territory of Russia, covering areas from the Kola Peninsula to the Black Sea. The first discovery of such pyramid-like structures took place on the Kola Peninsula in 2001, and their dating indicated an age twice that of their Egyptian counterparts. Subsequent findings confirmed the artificial origin of these pyramids, which were built between 9,000 and 40,000 years ago. In 2010, researchers discovered another ancient pyramid, noting the similarity of construction techniques to those used in Egyptian and Chinese structures. In the Krasnoyarsk region, there is Mount Chernaya, an extinct volcano known as the Pyramid, because of its three-sided shape and man-made masonry discovered in 1993. In Rostov-on-Don, there is the Arya Sanctuary, a unique structure that predates the Egyptian pyramids by 1,000 years and was built according to the golden ratio principle. Crimea is especially rich where, in 2001, 7 pyramids were found lined up between Sevastopol and Foros, supposedly 2,000 years older than the Egyptian ones. Their architecture resembles Tibetan and Mexican pyramids, indicating the existence of an ancient advanced civilization. It's hard to believe that the Egyptian pyramids aren't as ancient as we were told before. Such findings also confirm that the Egyptians were not the first to create such grand structures. To this day, humanity is still puzzled in trying to understand why people in ancient times built pyramid structures all over the globe. Viking sunstones. Imagine the Vikings, mighty seafarers who conquered the seas from Norway to North America. In sunny weather, everything was simple. They looked at the sky and sailed where they needed to go. But what should they do if the sun wasn't visible? That's where the mysterious sunstone or solarstein comes into play. This crystal was not just a beautiful gem, but also a kind of compass for the Vikings. With its help, they could determine where the sun was in the sky, even if it was hidden behind clouds or fog. Researchers puzzled over what this stone was for a long time until they realized it could have been Iceland spar or cordierite. These crystals could split light and show the path of the sun with an accuracy of a few degrees. This story tells us that you don't need futuristic technology. Our ancestors managed to navigate the seas and oceans at any time of day or night using primitive objects. Atlantis at the bottom of the Caribbean Sea, June 5th, 8,850 years ago. The time is 1 p.m. Suddenly, out of nowhere, an asteroid the size of a mountain crashes into the Earth at high speed. Bang! Its 5 billion tons heat the waters of the Atlantic to boiling. According to one scientist from Germany, this is exactly how Atlantis perished. The lost civilization that, they say, was flooded by waves as high as Mount Everest. The site of the disaster is now called the Bermuda Triangle. Scientists used to think that Atlantis was somewhere in the Caribbean Sea, near Bimini Island. They said that the Atlanteans were so intelligent that they even knew how to create fire crystals to generate energy. But it seems that one of these crystals exploded and led to the downfall of the civilization. Skeptics, of course, will say that all of this is nonsense. But what about the numerous underwater discoveries, such as strange pyramids and marble buildings? Egyptian tools. Traces of stone cutting have been found in Egypt, which were discovered more than 100 years ago. It was the legendary pyramid explorer Sir William Flinders Petrie. He noticed these traces even on the sarcophagus in the Great Pyramid on the Giza Plateau. He suggested that the sarcophagus was cut from granite using huge saws 3 meters long. Saw marks can also be found all over Egypt. For example, near the Great Pyramid, there are ruins of a temple. There, on the stone floor, numerous saw marks have been preserved. At the beginning of the 20th century, German archaeologists even deliberately put blocks with saw marks on public display during the restoration of the temple. Historians suggest that in ancient times, the Egyptians used copper saws. And since copper is softer than granite and basalt, it is assumed that the Egyptians used quartz sand as an abrasive. A rock chronicle spanning 100 generations. Scientists from Argentina have discovered that ancient rock paintings in Patagonia are significantly older than previously thought. Using radiocarbon analysis, it was found that the cave images date back to around 6,200 BC in the late Holocene era, predating previous estimates by thousands of years. In this underground gallery, 895 unique images were found, grouped into 446 thematic clusters. The study showed that the cave was used as a place for passing on knowledge between hundreds of generations of hunter-gatherers who overcame the challenges of the harsh climate of ancient Patagonia by exchanging information through rock paintings. An ancient house in the Sinai Desert. In Egypt, archaeologists discovered a structure in the Sinai Desert that is 3,500 years old, identified as a royal rest area. The ruins of this fortified area were found at the Tel Habua Archaeological Site. The palace, intended for the rest of the pharaoh and his close associates, was built from mud brick. It was part of fortified complexes built near the eastern gates of Egypt to accommodate troops. Dating has shown that the palace was built during the reign of Pharaoh Thutmose III, who was known for his military campaigns. The kings of ancient Egypt regularly carried out military expeditions to the eastern Mediterranean. The Sinai Desert was one of the routes used by Egyptian troops. The pharaoh's rest house was a strategic facility, the center of the fortress where the ruler and his army would rest. Here, warriors recovered their strength and restocked before campaigns. An egg with liquid white and yolk. In Britain, archaeologists discovered a unique chicken egg from the Roman Empire era that has survived with its liquid contents. The discovery was made in Buckinghamshire, along with other artifacts near a Roman road, suggesting that the site was used for ritual offerings. Out of the 4 eggs found, only one remained intact, containing liquid in what is likely a mixture of white and yolk. This discovery provides new data about ancient agriculture in the region. According to archaeologists from the Museum of Natural History, this is the oldest known preserved bird egg. A new giant pyramid. In Indonesia, a giant underground pyramid called Gunung Padang has been discovered, which is older than Stonehenge and the pyramids of Giza. This place is shrouded in mystery and is considered sacred by the local inhabitants of the island of West Java, known as Pundin Berundak, a stepped structure. Archaeological work has only just begun, but it has already shown that Gunung Padang may be the oldest pyramidal structure in the world, built on top of an extinct volcano before the advent of agriculture. The latest research suggests that there may be chambers full of the unknown inside the hill. The name Mountain of Enlightenment emphasizes that an ancient civilization may have turned the volcanic hill into the foundation for a pyramid many millennia ago. Radiocarbon dating shows that construction began around the last ice age, making it more than 16,000 years old, and possibly even 27,000 years old, which puts it in the same age range as Göbekli Tepe. Between 2011 and 2015, a group of specialists conducted a comprehensive analysis using drilling and seismic surveys. They determined that Gunung Padang was built in several stages. By examining the interior of the hill, scientists discovered signs of hidden chambers, some of which reach 15 meters in length and 10 meters in height, confirming the uniqueness and mystery of this ancient structure. Pitani's celestial stones. Over billions of years, our planet has attracted many meteorites, and people have always collected their fragments. One such sky stone, or celestial stone, was discovered in 1990 by archaeologist Angelo Pitani in Sierra Leone. Local legends say that these stones were beings living in the heavens, whom God turned into stones and threw to earth for their transgressions. Pitani sent the stone for analysis to laboratories in Rome, Germany, and Tokyo. The stone was composed of 77% oxygen, 20% carbon and lime, and there were also traces of silicon and other materials. The analysis results showed that the stone is different from any other stone on Earth, and it probably arrived here between 2,500 and 17,000 years ago. New Nazca geoglyphs discovered with artificial intelligence. Our next story is about the coolest Nazca geoglyphs discovered with the help of artificial intelligence. This story begins in 2004. Scientists from Yamagata University, led by Professor Makoto Sakai, decided to study these ancient drawings located in the Nazca Pampa, which covers more than 390 square kilometers. They used all the most advanced technology imaginable: satellite images, aerial photography, 3D scanning from a special aircraft, and even photos taken from home. A wide range of technologies was used to uncover the mysteries of antiquity. Over the course of a decade, scientists managed to find 142 new drawings right in the desert, and all thanks to cutting-edge technology. But then they ran into a problem. There was just too much data to analyze. They implemented machine learning to search for data that had been missed in the past. It's like an archaeological detective story, only with artificial intelligence. To make sure they didn't miss a single geoglyph, in 2016, scientists used aerial photography with ultra-high resolution of 10 centimeters per pixel. And after that, they discovered even more of these mysterious drawings. But that's not the end. To speed up the analysis of the images, scientists used artificial intelligence with deep learning and discovered 4 more new Nazca geoglyphs. Can you imagine? It's like discovering new stars in the universe. And these new geoglyphs depict a creature resembling a human, a pair of huge legs, a fish, and a bird. Scientists say that their method helps to discover things that were previously impossible to see, and they believe that this opens a new era in research, a combination of fieldwork and artificial intelligence. Even more discoveries await us ahead. A cosmetic spoon with a nude girl. Raise your hands if you love jewelry and face masks. But what if I tell you about a piece of jewelry that also held your favorite fragrant oils? Let's take a journey back to ancient Egypt, where there lived a girl who would be a top model today. This girl is actually a cosmetic spoon made of ivory and ebony and painted in bright colors. This was a special kind of spoon that was used to store cosmetics or aromatic oils. This was actually a whole tradition in ancient Egypt during the 18th and 19th dynasties. Our little model was carved to look like a pink lotus flower with a lid that can be opened and closed. Her face is adorned with a black wig made of ebony wood and her neck with a necklace of lotus petals. She has a tattoo on her waist, and on her hips are images of dwarf gods who protected the home and family. This cosmetic spoon was found in Thebes in the early 1900s and is now in Moscow at the Pushkin State Museum of Fine Arts in the Hall of Ancient Egyptian Art. And if you noticed, our spoon girl has very long legs. In ancient Egypt, art often depicted women with disproportionately long legs. It was a kind of beauty standard of that time. Who knows, maybe they were the first models in the world. A 1,050-year-old mysterious structure. Today I will tell you about the great dynasty of the Atons, who ruled in the area now known as Germany about 1,000 years ago. Let's recall our history lessons. Just like that, secrets that literally astonish us are buried right under our feet. The Atons were a powerful family with roots in Saxony-Anhalt. They were busy building churches, monasteries, and castles across the region. And today our brave archaeologists are working hard, digging up the ground to bring to light the secrets of this dynasty. And one of these projects in Altenburg, Grosswangen, has revealed amazing discoveries. There, underground, archaeologists found 2 huge castles. The main and outer ones, protected by moats and ramparts, were built during the Aton dynasty. Here's the most interesting part. The main castle was protected in a way that was usually reserved only for the most important castles of that time. It had a separate, powerful wall that is already more than 1,000 years old. According to Felix Berman, the scholar who led the excavations, Altenburg is a real mystery. There is a theory that they planned to establish a new administrative center here, but something went wrong. In addition to the wall, Archaeologists found many artifacts: small houses, stone and clay ovens, ceramics, animal bones, knives, spears, and much more. These are the amazing secrets hidden beneath Altenburg, which is located just 240 kilometers southwest of Berlin. Grains of extinct wheat. Next, we have an exciting story from the world of archaeology. Now let's go back 7,000 years. Have you ever heard of Landshut? It's a small town in Germany where archaeologists recently made an amazing discovery. They were digging and suddenly they discovered traces of an ancient settlement from the New Stone Age, known as the Neolithic. And do you know what they found there? Under the rubble of a collapsed stone hearth, they found 5 kilograms of charred grains, a mixture of different types of wheat that were cultivated during the Neolithic era. Imagine, our ancient ancestors used these grains to make bread, perhaps for winter supplies. However, something went wrong, and the oven where they were drying the grains collapsed. The grains were charred, but they were perfectly preserved to this day. Maybe there was a fire. Who knows? This is a very rare and important case for science. After all, usually organic materials that people used in ancient times do not survive to this day. These charred grains were sent to a special laboratory in Vilnius for further study. And here is what they discovered. 90% of the mixture was made from a grain that disappeared long ago. This type of wheat, called New Gloom wheat, has only been found a few times in the history of archaeological excavations. Well, the unfortunate fire 7,000 years ago gave us a unique opportunity to look into the past and learn more about the lives of our ancient ancestors. As they say, the fire itself isn't as frightening as its echo in history. The Hand of Glory. Ancient magicians and shamans amaze and astonish us with their ingenuity. Their knowledge of human psychology is especially inspiring. After all, not only did they manage to create certain magical objects, but they also made people believe in their miraculous power. One such example is the Hand of Glory. The first mention of this terrifying thing dates back to the 1600s, but that's only the officially recorded instance. To create this magical object, you needed the hand of a hanged murderer. The most interesting thing is that I even have a recipe for making this creepy thing. You can write it down, just in case you ever need it. The hand must be cut off from the body of a hanged criminal. It is marinated in salt and the urine of a man, a woman, a dog, a horse, and a mare. Then it needs to be smoked with herbs and hay for a month. Hang it on an oak tree for 3 nights in a row, and then hang it on a church door for 1 night. And if during this time no fear drives you away, the hand will be yours. According to another recipe, the hand had to be, so to speak, marinated in various ingredients. 2 of them are ponya and zimat. Fortunately, we still don't know the translations of these words. So what's the point of this hand? Well, it's simple. By performing a certain ritual using this hand, you can open absolutely any door on the planet. It's a kind of universal lockpick. Interestingly, there are even descriptions in history of supposedly real cases where such artifacts were used. In the book Curious Myths of the Middle Ages, published in 1873, there is a story about a maid. During severe bad weather, a beggar appeared on the doorstep of an inn in the English county of Northumberland. There were no available rooms, but he was allowed to spend the night by the fireplace next to the maid. The woman woke up at night and saw how the guest took a dry human hand out of the folds of his cloak. He lit candles that were fixed between the fingers and quietly muttered some kind of spell. After that, he calmly wandered around the hall, putting more or less valuable things into a bag, dishes, candelabras, and so on. The maid rushed to wake the master and the other servants, but they were fast asleep. Then she grabbed a jug of milk and splashed it on the hand. The candles went out, and the sleep paralysis left the inhabitants of the house. Now, such hands are part of the exhibits in several museums, each with its own sinister story. The next invention already had real value in the Middle Ages. The oldest known human viruses. Researchers from the Federal University of São Paulo discovered the oldest viruses in the bones of Neanderthals, which are over 50,000 years old. 2 Neanderthals, whose remains were found in a cave in Russia, underwent DNA testing. The results showed traces of papillomavirus, which is sexually transmitted, and adenovirus, which causes the common cold, as well as other viruses. Both Neanderthals were male. Experts have long suspected that viruses could have contributed to the extinction of Neanderthals. This discovery may confirm that theory. The study suggests that Neanderthals may have been infected with the same viruses as modern humans. It has also been proven that fragments of viral genomes can be identified in archaeological samples. Adenoviruses can cause various diseases, from the common cold to acute gastroenteritis. Papillomaviruses are known for their association with cervical cancer. The team that made this discovery plans to synthesize these viruses from Jurassic Park in order to compare them with their modern counterparts. The remains were found in the Chagirskaya cave in the Altai Mountains in Siberia. They belong to a group of 9 people discovered in 2022 who were relatives. Researchers were able to sequence the Neanderthal genome and found that the viral traces did not come from animals or modern humans. Archaeologists emphasize that viruses were not the only reason for the extinction of Neanderthals, but they could have played a role in this process. In the previous video, I talked about an artifact that had the same shape and use 2,000 years ago, still has today, and will still have in the future. I also talked about where people in the Middle Ages found unicorn horns. I recommend watching the previous video. Thank you for watching this video until the end. Goodbye, everyone.